to call the meeting back to order. We had some general municipal business that we've been here since 2 o'clock, and we went in camera. So the first thing I need to do before we start our planning items tonight is come out of camera. And for those that are just joining us, we have all of council is here, our CAO, our communications person, and we also have the planner from RRPD here this evening. So with that, if I could have a resolution to come out of camera, please.
Resolved that as per section 152(4) of the Municipal Act, Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clements does now resume sitting a regular meeting.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so the first item on our agenda today is a variation order, and we have to enter into the variation board to do that, and if I could have that resolution, please.
Resolved, the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be opened for variation order 117 of 2021.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And I see we have the applicant is joining us via Zoom this evening. And I believe that is the only one that's via Zoom this evening. So with that, Colin, if I could get you to go ahead with the variation order 117 of 2021.
So thank you very much, Madam Mayor. The first one is variation 117-2021, located at 4568 and 4600 Henderson Highway, or under rule numbers 31400, 31410, 31420, and 31900. The variance is to reduce the minimum site width of 75 feet to 72 feet for proposed lot 6, 70.15 feet for proposed lot 10, and 56.65 feet for proposed lot 11, as a condition of the conditionally approved subdivision application S212884 involving these properties. The subject area, highlighted in black, located on the west side of Henderson Highway, and which backs onto also the Red River. Currently the property, again, is an aerial here showing the property's boundary again. Here is the proposed submitted site plan, and proposed lot 6, 10 and 11 are requiring council's attention for variances. As a condition on the subdivision application, the applicant was required to obtain council's approval. The subdivision was previously approved, and a letter was sent out in June of 2020, and approval of this variance would allow the applicant to move one step closer to completing conditions as required for the subdivision. That is all.
Thank you for that. I just want to make sure that everybody is hearing everyone. Those on Zoom, are you hearing us okay in the council chamber? Just give me a thumbs up if you are. Okay, Brendan has his hand up.
Sheldon's here.
Yeah, Sheldon, do you hear us? Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, questions to the planner on this variation. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Can we get on the pointer and you can show us what the proposed lots 6, 10, and 11 are, please? Just for reference.
Yeah, so number 6 is comes around the bend here. There's also sort of a public reserve walkway proposed by the applicant left here, but here's number 6. And number 10 and 11 are, here's 10 and here's 11. Again, as you get closer to the end of the cul-de-sac. And the only reason, like I said, is just the orientation of the park lot line is causing it to be undersized. Everything else was in compliance to area and width.
Could you go back to 6, which is 6?
6 right
Up there.
Yeah. Yes, as you come along the bend of the road.
See what front width is.
And then, yeah, so 10 and 11.
Okay, does anybody else have questions for the planner? I I see that the applicant is on Zoom with us. Brendan, do you have anything that you would like to add to this application at this point in time?
Sure. I'll keep my comments brief. Thanks, Mr. Gill, for the overview. Thanks, Council, for your consideration, as well as the administration. So yeah, this is the same subdivision that received conditional approval earlier this year. So there haven't been any changes, and essentially the rationale for these variances is that, when we're working kind of on a cul-de-sac angle, like we were in this particular case, as you get closer to the cul-de-sac bulb, of course, it does come in a little bit. So these lots do exceed quite a lot the actual minimum lot area. So there's no issue there. It's just that one's, I think, 3 feet short. That's lot 6, which is directly adjacent to that public walkway. So that's part of the reason that one ended up being undersized. And then 11 and 12, of course, 10 and 11 at the end of the cul-de-sac bulb, just because that odd angle creates that need for a variance for the lot width. So it's not a major variance, it's just kind of the unique requirements due to that cul-de-sac. So that's all I would add. And again, thanks for the consideration. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. Any questions to the applicant from members of council? Okay, I see that we did have one letter of opposition, but the gentleman sitting at the back, which planning item were you here for?
This one.
Okay, did you wish to speak at this point in time?
I own one of the lots right adjacent to the cul-de-sac.
Okay, can you state your name for the record, please?
Sure, it's Ferry.
Okay. And what is it that you were wanting to share with council at this point in time?
I guess we know that this was coming, and it looks like a good plan. Earlier they had a public reserve in a buffer for like the back lane that is there now, but it's gone. But at the end of the day, I'm in approval of it. So.
Okay, thank you for your comments. And I do see that there is one letter of opposition, and Colin, did you want to read that one into the record, please, if you have it?
Sure, is that the 161 Old River?
I'm just pulling it up here. It's from a gentleman by the name of Rick.
Okay, yeah. So I can just, it's 161 River Road, Rick Valiquette.
Yeah.
Well, my apologies if it was mispronounced, but the spelling of the last name is Valiquettie. Hello, I have a question regarding development taking place on or about Old River Road. Recently, smaller lots have been approved on Danko Drive that will connect to the new sewer system. I opposed such a plan several years ago. You should have my email on record. That rezoning was denied at the time, but I found it surprising to see for sale signs up on those lots recently. It appears that the development is inevitable, as the developer just needs to keep trying until residents in opposition become tired or simply miss an opportunity to be heard. There's another proposal for a major development of Henderson behind Old River Road. Again, small lots taking advantage of the sewer system. The sewer system on Old River Road was an issue for many years. It was an issue created by the RM, which allowed to many small lots in the area to support septic field. The RM was not prepared to fix the problem and cover a sewer system installed, and therefore treated it as a local improvement, passing the cost on to residents. My cost was approximately $20,000. It seems that the sewer system now enables the RM to rezone property to smaller packages, effectively increasing the tax revenue. Essentially, the RM is directly benefiting from local improvement, and in doing so, may be negatively impacting the residents that actually pay for the sewer system. Is any of the increased tax revenue coming back directly to the local residents that funded the improvement? It would seem odd if the RM did not want to pass the sewer cost to the full tax base. Now it is willing to take that increased tax revenue to general revenue. if we are adding users to the sewer system that was paid for by local residents, do the new users contribute to the cost of the sewer line, and will the original contributors get a rebate? Regards, Rick Velvet, 161 Old River Road.
Thank you for that, Pao, and I guess the letter that we have is different than the one you have. So this one is dated November the 10th, and because it is different and it's talking about bylaw number 5 of 2002 and variation order 117 of 2021, I'm going to ask the CAO to please read this one into the record, and they will both show an opposition of this application.
From one individual. And so this email that we received is from Rick Valaquet, and it says, "To whom it may concern, I received the above mentioned zoning variance notice today. The variance describes reduced lot sizes, but is unclear if there is a change to the original lot plan or if other lots are impacted by the variance change. Can you confirm or provide further details? Also, please see below a request for clarification sent to the RM, but I never did receive a response. Therefore, contrary to your public hearing notice, I am doubtful that you are listening. In principle, unless some of these items regarding smaller lots are adequately communicated and addressed, I am against any lot size variance. In my view, the developer can make a development such that it can work with standard lot sizes without stretching the local infrastructure. I do understand that they wish to maximize the number of lots, but there needs to be a limit. A response would be appreciated." And I think it should be noted, Madam Mayor, that when they do file a letter as opposition, the response is at the public hearing, not after the fact.
Okay, thank you for that. So there are no other people who wish to speak that I am aware of. I have nobody else on my list here, and I don't believe that there's anybody else on Zoom. So if council has no further questions to the applicant or to the planner, I will ask for closing of the public hearing prior to the resolution. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Can we maybe get a copy of the other
Of the other letter?
distributed?
Yeah,
Yes.
so Pawan, if you could just forward a copy to the office tomorrow of the letter, and if you don't have the one that we read into the record, I'll have Christina send you a copy of that one tomorrow.
Yeah, I think this was already sent to your end.
Oh,
It was
okay.
so I thought it was sent for a response, and then, so you already had it.
Okay.
But no reason. to get it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, we'll deal with it then. Okay, so if I could have the resolution to close the public hearing for this one, please.
Resolve the public hearing for variation order 117-2021 be closed for the regular session of council be reconvened.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second, Councillor Spicer. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, now we can move on, and I will ask our CAO to please read the resolution for this variation order.
Whereas the applicant order of tax roll number 31400, 31410, 31420, and 31900, and located at 4568 and 4600 Henderson Highway, has made applicant for variation order 117-2021 from site width 75 feet minimum within the RS service residential zone to site width 72 feet minimum for the proposed lot 6, 70.15 feet minimum for proposed lot 10, 56.65 feet minimum for proposed lot 11 within subdivision application file number S21-2884. Purpose: the applicant is requesting council's approval of site width variance for proposed lots 6, 10, and 11 within the RS service residential zone as part of a conditionally approved subdivision application S21-2884. Therefore, be it resolved, variation order number 117-2021 be approved with the following conditions. The variation order is approval for site width as proposed within this application. Any further changes would require a new variance application. This order shall expire if not acted upon within 12 months of the date of making.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Spicer, Counselor Gazarovich seconds. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Counselor Horvis.
What the complainant's asking is, in the letter there, about if there'd be any rebate or anything on this. Will something go out to tell them, or will there be an explanation, or to answer?
That question was asked also when we had the Danco Drive, and it was addressed at that point that the Old River Road only paid for their connections for their services. All the other connections and all the other expansion of the sewer system was RM costs. And as new properties are coming on, they are paying for their connections and their own. And so this isn't that Old River Road
The whole shop.
paid and subsidized anyone else.
I just wanted to make sure that it was noted, or the applicant, or the, that they use.
Thank you. And we'll try to see if we can get that back to them, but I'm pretty sure that that's been communicated, but I'll verify.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? I have a mover and I have a seconder, and if there is nothing else, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So with that, that completes variation order 117 of 2021. And if we want to move on, we have no conditional uses today. We do have 2 subdivisions on our docket this evening, both which don't require a public hearing, and that's kind of odd because most of them do require a public hearing. The first one we have is subdivision file S21-2917 at 1068 Ferry Road. Colin, can you go through that one, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Yes, the first subdivision, S21-2917, is located at 1068 Ferry Road. The subdivision seeks to create one additional new lot from the proposed property, from the existing property. As there's only one lot being created, the proposed subdivision is not subject to a public hearing. The subdivision itself, first of all, here's the property highlighted in black. Again, the property currently developed with a residence, highlighted in black, and here's the applicant's subdivision application map. And it is actually to create one new lot, which is proposed lot 1 on this map, from the existing property, which is developed with a residence and accessory buildings. The subdivision meets the zoning bylaw requirements and generally meets the development plan. However, it does not meet policy within the East Southwick Secondary Plan Bylaw 14-2012. Therefore, the Red River Planning District recommend not to approve the application. The subject property within the secondary plan is designated large lot neighborhood policy area, and there's a policy in this designation that indicates that new lots and subdivisions shall be a minimum 2 acres in size to ensure on-site wastewater management. Proposed lot 1 is approximately 0.577 acres, or a little over 25,000 square feet in size, and the lot would not be supported had the applicant extended services. In this case, it would be supported. In such cases, infill neighborhood policies would supersede large lot neighborhood policies. The secondary plan policy, just wanted to note for council that the area in yellow is a large neighborhood policy area, and the area in orange is our infill neighborhood policy area in our East Southwick secondary plan. Other policies to note on this, within the current large lot neighborhood policy area, states that new development and subdivision will require a well water quality test. And this policy states that if water quality is not considered safe by Manitoba conservation standards, no subdivision may be approved. Now, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to know that if this was approved, we included a condition where the applicant would have to do a well water test. However, our conversations with the Office of Drinking Water on this one had mentioned to us that they do not actually verify this test. So this is something that council would have to request as from almost a private well water test. They would inform an engineer or consultant. So the policy is kind of a little bit outdated from our information from the province. So but we did include it as part of our conditions if approved. If council considers, that's if council considers approval. Now, policy number 5 on the large lot neighborhood policy indicates a vegetative buffer within the riparian zone to be maintained along the Red River. This is similar to the development plan section and the fishery section to protect the riparian area measured from an ordinary high water mark. And I have noted a condition number 7 for council's attention. Just wanted to let you know from the subdivision application map though, there is a garage and workshop within the 30-meter typical, the development plan taken. Council may want to see if they want to reduce that or leave the buffer as it is, if they decide to take a condition. Policy 4, excuse the typo, but it's supposed to be policy 4, with an existing policy that requires use of subdivisions or lots to adhere to planning guidelines or to provide for a future re-subdivision. This would pertain to undeveloped proposed lot 1. If council approved this application, they could enter into a zoning agreement with the applicant where they would require future dwellings to be on one side of the property. And we've noted a condition regarding this for proposed lot 1. This is a policy under 4 under the large lot neighborhood policy areas for future dwelling development. Within policy within proposed lot 2, the rear portion of the land is within the green space and natural land area within the secondary plan. And for policy analysis, policy is referred to protecting habitat along the river and if feasible taking land for public open space or green space linkage. Now presently, there are no green space taking either to properties north and south of this area. So council may want to decide if they want to oppose taking any lands for this purpose. That is such as like a public reserve or an area for future green space. And again, in the secondary plan, there is a green space natural policy area that follows along the Red River, including along this property. Comments from Historic Resource Branch has provided comments to conduct a pre-impact assessment for any potential heritage resources. At this point, they had mentioned that they would want the applicant to do a pre-impact assessment, which is no cost. However, if they do find any resources, then a full heritage resource impact assessment may be necessary. So those are comments were addressed in a condition for council's attention. From 2015, it should be noted that the applicant on this property was previously granted a variance approval under VO 81 2015 to increase the number of accessory buildings as well as increase the maximum unit area for an accessory. From the submitted SAM, it appears to be more than 3 accessories. And as a condition, the applicant should obtain all required approvals from the Red River Planning Office, including addressing any variances for the present accessory buildings on the property. Comments from other agencies had generally noted no concerns. Easements would be required for Manitoba Hydro, and we had received development agreement conditions as well as requirements from the RM listed in conditions 1 and 2. Madam Mayor, do you wish for me to read the conditions at this point?
Not at this point. I think I'm going to open it up. I know I have some questions, so I'm going to open it up at this point in time to see if council has any questions that they would like answered. So, anybody? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
In regards to the riparian zone, I don't know why we would request that because there's no riparian zone on the properties on either side or anywhere down along the river there. So it doesn't make sense to even request to have a riparian zone there.
Okay,
To my
yeah.
understanding.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I'd like to hear the planner's comments on, are we not creating a flag-shaped lot here? And is that allowed under our policies?
So the residual lot is being proposed by the applicant to be flag-shaped as a result of taking out lot number 1. The only other option would be the applicant to extend the lot all the way to the river. However, the intent is there were comments from Manitoba Conservation that required the minimum 2 acres if they would want to keep their field, which they are okay if this was approved as it is. As far as policies, there's no specific policies in the secondary plan for flag shapes. However, in the Planning Act, we do talk about, having lots that are rectangular in shape. And in cases, such cases where there are exceptions, where council feels that it's inadequate, can accept flag shapes. But we don't have any specific policy listed in the zoning bylaw for lot orientations or the development plan.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
Oh,
Go ahead,
in
Councilor
regard to
Sutherland.
flagship lot, I can see if they're sharing the same driveway, it would create a problem because the lot that's being created will have a driveway off of Ferry Road. And we just approved, just down the road, about a month ago, 2 lots that are, we call them flag shaped.
Okay, thank you for that. I guess I do, go ahead, Councilor Horvis. I have a couple of questions, but go ahead.
Yeah, I have to agree with Councillor Sutherland, this lot will have its own access, and we did approve 2 that seem are way more flagship than this one would be. So, yeah, I don't see that that would be an issue.
Okay, thank you for that. Colin, I got a couple of questions. Under, I think it's number 2 in your report that has secondary plan compliance, you say it's not in compliance, and you go on to kind of say what the policies are. But if I go a little bit further down on zoning bylaw compliance, and that is at the top, I guess, of page 6 of 36. Proposed lot 1 and lot 2, you say they're both in compliance. So I know, are we talking about 2 different things? We're talking about the zoning bylaw and the secondary plan, correct?
That is correct. So as stated just in the beginning of my presentation, the application does meet like sort of the secondary plan because of what they're proposing and the lot sizes.
Right.
It does meet like the width requirements, the area requirements, if holding tanks are being used for the proposed lot. And as well as for the residual lot, it meets the minimum site width. But it's just the secondary plan policy is not in compliance, and the criteria for considering approval has to meet all 3. It can't just be one or the other. It has to be the secondary plans, zoning bylaws, as well as the development plan.
Okay, so I guess I have a couple of questions. Deepak, did you have a comment at this point in time, or?
Just for correction, when you mentioned secondary plan, it's in compliance. I think you meant zoning bylaw. It was in compliance. The secondary plan, it's not in compliance.
Sorry, yes, that's correct. I maybe fumbled that one there. It is, with the zoning bylaw, it is in compliance, but as in my report on page, I'm just gonna go back. Page number 3, on top of it, it is not in compliance with secondary plan.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions then. I know that planning is suggesting that or you're recommending that we not approve the subdivision. If council chose to approve the subdivision, what could be the ramifications? And I guess I'm thinking of when it goes to the RRP board, I would imagine at that point in time it can be defeated.
That's correct.
And could the province at some point in time take issue with it and take it to the municipal board?
It is likely it could happen, but I can't say for sure that that's the direction it'll go, but something that it could potentially happen if the board decides to approve it as well, but the board also, yeah, you're right, there's a level of the board across approval stage, and then there's a 30-day waiting period for once the letters are out.
Okay, Deepak has a question, so go ahead.
Pavan, if you could, just for council's understanding, highlight the hierarchy of the plans, the development plan, secondary plan, and the zoning bylaw. What sits above what?
So the development plan is like the higher over master plan of the area, and then we have after that the secondary plans in the community, and then the zoning bylaw is the last one, bottom of the hierarchy. But document that guides our overall master plan, and then we have a secondary plan such as the one we have in East Southwick, what guides more into a policy specifically to these type of areas of how they should be developed. And then we have a zoning bylaw which goes into specific lot sizes and stuff like that. So they all work in conjunction, but the overall master plan is doing well.
Okay, and Pavan, just one additional follow-up question. My understanding is the secondary plan was put in place for this because of the issues related with the sewer, with the septic fields. And that's why the large lots were identified, that they needed to be able to. And with this, there's possibility that the Red River corridor may have an impact on this, and that might be a moot point.
Yeah, these policies were placed, I guess, back in 2012 with the consideration of the fields that these lots had. And that's how the policy is written. Unfortunately, they talk about 2 acres until services are extended. Now, I know that one of the councillors had mentioned about, there's recent subdivisions in the area that were approved. Council, what you should keep in mind is those were also extending services, and they had different policies, infill policy areas. And so I just wanted to make sure that they're aware of that, and where flagships can be considered. There's actually a policy for that. But these policies were set at the time in 2012 when they were protecting septic fields.
So, Pavan, if they are no longer, additional follow-up, if they're no longer needed to protect the septic fields because there's other restrictions, then it would be logical for council to look at reviewing the secondary plan to update it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow up on that one. If council chose to not make a decision on this application this evening and ask you to review the secondary plan, what kind of a time frame are we looking for to have any amendments to the secondary plan?
That is something I have to speak to my office.
Okay.
But I'm assuming it follows a similar development plan amendment. Just in this case, it'd be more policy changes that would be directed by the municipality. There were to basically amend their plan.
Right.
So it's something I have to get back to you in the timeline. But
Okay.
if you want, I can bring that information next week. Oh, sorry, the next meeting.
Next meeting, which won't be until
December 14th.
December the 14th, so yeah, so it's not that far away. Go ahead, Councilor Boulanger, I saw you had your hand up.
You asked my question, I just wanted to know the timeline on reviewing the secondary plan. Thank you.
Yeah, so, I don't know, like, I guess in my mind, if we do approve it this evening, it can still be defeated, either at Red River Planning, or if somebody takes, even if it's approved at planning, if I'm saying this correctly, Pavan, even if it's approved at planning, everybody, the government agencies have 30 days that they could take it to the municipal board, correct?
That's correct.
So I guess it's a matter of, do we want to pass it tonight with a chance that it could be defeated somewhere along the way, or come back in December and see how long it's going to take to change that secondary plan? Go ahead, Councilor Boulanger.
For the applicant's sake, I think it would be safer bet to table it, and if we could look at the secondary plan and then hopefully come up with some other options for the applicant, it's going to be the safer, more probable way to go, as opposed to taking a risk and the applicant losing his subdivision. It would be better, I think, if we just took the time to review the secondary plan, see if we can't make something work, and go from there.
Okay, anything else from members of council?
Yeah, I agree, we should table this.
Okay. I know that this is not a public hearing, but the applicant is on Zoom, and if we table it, is that causing hardship for yourself?
No.
Okay. Okay, so do we need a resolution to table it, or can we just hold it over if that is the wish of council?
Pavan?
Do you want to put a date, or just table it for until it's ready to be back, or?
I think we should maybe have a not specific date in there, but if you could get back to us by the 14th of December with some of the other things that are required to change that secondary plan.
So just bring it forward for December 14th, and then you can make a final decision.
Yeah,
Sure, then that's fine. It's not a public hearing, so it does need to be.
right, so it doesn't have to be re-advertised or any of that, so that would work then. So what we are going to do for the applicant is we are going to table it till the 14th of December, and we'll hopefully have some more information by then, and we may be able to make a decision, or it may take a little longer if we have to make some changes to our secondary plan. So having said that, I think that will finish off this application for this evening. And if council wishes to move on, we have one more subdivision, and it's file S21-2920. And before you start there, Colin, I know that you're the applicant for the subdivision, Bob Gomolinski. That's yourself, okay? And your dad, okay, perfect. But I do have another person here who wanted to attend the meeting via Zoom. Myron Groening, do you know him at all?
No.
Okay. So I'm not sure if we had a time frame for this application on our agendas this evening. I just don't want to, like if somebody wanted to attend by Zoom and we told them it wasn't going to happen till 7 o'clock, we may have to delay, but I don't think we put a time frame on it because it isn't a public hearing. And I believe they just wanted to attend for information. So what is the wish of council? I think we could proceed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Paul, if you could on the next application then, please.
Yes, the final planning application on council's agenda today is a subdivision application S21-2920. This is on 25 Byers Drive. This application is to subdivide the existing property at the northeast corner of George Street and Byers Drive into 2 lots. The property again here, highlighted in black on the corner of George and Byers, is actually currently developed with the residents, and the applicant is proposing to essentially cut the land in half to create 2 proposed lots from the application. And then in our secondary plan, this is within the infill policy area. Again, the subdivision, like I said, is a 2-lot proposal. The subdivision is generally consistent with the development plan designation, settlement center designation, which is within policy 4.52. There's a policy that says infilling and revitalizing of existing built-up areas within this designation is encouraged as a means to accommodate new development in settlement centers. This is the settlement center, I guess. And however, the growth of settlement centers shall be directed where municipal services such as sewer and water can be extended at an economically feasible cost. Council may want to consider for this property if services need to be extended as a condition on the subdivision. Furthermore, the subject property is in the East Selkirk secondary plan infill neighborhood policy area, where the designation is intended to guide subdivision and transition of privately serviced lots to more efficient lots in order to take advantage of municipal services when they become available. Now, generally, the proposal is consistent with the secondary plan, with the exception of policy 2, which encourages us for infill development within these areas to be extended based upon extension of those water and sewer services. At the present, the proposed lots are being serviced, or one is being serviced by holding tank, and the second is being, as indicated by the applicant, to be serviced by a holding tank. Now, if holding tanks are used, they must be located to enable future connection of municipal services and must connect to these once available. As such, council should consider requiring the applicant to enter in a development agreement to address future connection of these services. Comments from, I guess, the RM office also has indicated that as part of the application that a development agreement to address a future connection of municipal services. An alternate option, again, is that council may require the applicant to extend these services to these lots. Within infill policy areas, the states that the development should generally respect the physical patterns or existing patterns in the area. I just want to let you know the proposed lot widths are similar to those across from the property. Although the property is slightly less than the lot size across from the property, but both exceed the 20,000 square feet and do meet the minimum requirement for a holding tank in a zoning bylaw perspective. Aside from that, Madam Mayor, I had easement requirements from Manitoba Hydro, which the applicant would, if approved, would have to address. And if there, and of course, conditions number 1 and 2 are noted for council's attention from the municipality. Do you want me to read the conditions at this point?
Yes, please do.
So based on our analysis above, our office recommends approval of the application. And should council wish to approve the application, our office recommends the following conditions be placed. Number 1, applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from the RM of St. Clement stating that the following requirements have been met. 1A, taxes of the land to be subdivided for the current year and any arrears have been paid. 1B, development levies and administrative fee to be paid as per bylaw 14-2009. 1C, digital copy of the plan of subdivision be provided to the RM of St. Clement. 1D, a grading plan be prepared to indicate positive drainage on the proposed property to the satisfaction of the RM of St. Clement and to ensure the proposed property does not drain onto or impede drainage from neighboring properties. Condition number 2, applicant owner enters into a development agreement with the RM of St. Clement to address items including, but not limited to, 2A, address and dissolve the current development agreement in place from S14-2590. 2B, requirement to connect to municipal sewer and water lines when they are available on Myers Drive. 2C, a drainage and easement plan if required. And 2D, a letter of credit for drainage work. Condition number 3, applicant owner submits written confirmation from Manitoba Hydro that an easement agreement has been entered into with Manitoba Hydro with respect to existing and or future facilities associated with the subdivision, and a plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Registration of this agreement will be included as a condition of the final certificate of approval. Contact Manitoba Hydro at hcsc@hydro.mb.ca, 12-260 Portage Avenue, Winnipeg, Manitoba, R3C0G8. And that is all I have for that, Mayor.
Thank you for that, Colin. I believe Deepak does have a question, so go ahead.
Just a quick question. These conditions apply to both lots?
The conditions 1 and 2, 3? Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, just want to verify that.
Okay, any questions to the planner? Okay, if Councilor... Oh, sorry, Councilor Spicer.
Just a question on wastewater. Are these holding tanks or proposed holding tanks for these 2 lots?
Yes, they would be holding tanks, and they would be required to connect to sewer as soon as sewer is available to buyers. The sewer doesn't go on buyers yet.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything? So with that, I'm going to ask our CAO to read the preamble. I won't ask you to read all the conditions again. Colin read them, and I don't believe that we need to listen to them again. So please go ahead.
Regarding subdivision application number S21-2920, proposal of Gomulski to subdivide Lot 1, Block 2, Plan 59530, Winnipeg Land Titles Office in RL 245, Parish of St. Peters. Resolved that council approve the said application subject to the following conditions, and those conditions were read by the planner, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang seconds. Any further discussion or comment? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So the subdivision has been approved, and if you want to check with planning in a day or so, they'll be able to tell you what you need to do next.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I was just gonna ask you, are you parked on the side or in the back?
I park in the front.
Okay, then I would suggest rather than walk around the outside of the building, just come through here and you can go out the back door.
Okay, thank you. That's it?
That's
That's it?
all we need, yes, thank you. And Pawan will let you go home too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I need something.
Let me leave it to go to the camera here.
Just come through, just come right through here.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
No problem. Take care.
Good night. Good night. Yes. Okay, I believe that Deepak has maybe one or two very small things to discuss in camera, so he'd like to go back to camera. So if you want to read the resolution.
Resolved, council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues and further be it resolved that all matters discussed are remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the municipal act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Spicer, seconds, all in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
Okay, first quick one.
Well, I'll turn the thing on. Oh, right. Yeah, and that's